My parents divorced when I was 15. Yeah, I know, wah, 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 whatever. But that's not the point of the story. What never occurred to my dad, at least for the 15 years that I was living, was that spankings never worked. He had a leather belt that he actually broke the buckle on with my sister. He would snap it and it was always, go get the belt, you know. One year my brother decided to be a smartass and wear about 8 pair of underwear at once. So the spanking wouldn't hurt so much. Made my brother strip down to the 1 pair of underwear and then, spanked him for whatever he did wrong and then for wearing the 8 underwear. And so after that, my dad always made sure that we were not padded in any way before we got our spanking. And he had this thing that he would spank us till we cried. Um, so my younger sister would always try to hold out, and he would just continue to spank her until she cried. Well, I figured out that as soon as you cry, he stopped spanking. So, but he wouldn't spank less than 3 spanks. So on the third spank, I would wham, 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 and then, I'd be done with it. And then my sister just fighting back the tears, and he's just whack, 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 whack. Finally, she breaks down and says, you got to start crying on 3, and then it's over. And where he saw this, I don't know, but he decided to make these signs at a poster board. And one of them was, I will not disobey my mother and father. And then the other one was, I will not talk back to my mother and father. And there were several, but those are the only 2 I remember. And one day, my younger sister had a mouth on her and said something to my dad. And he's like, that's it. Get the sign. And it was a Saturday afternoon. She was probably 7 or no older than 7, I don't think. And so he gets the sign, gives it to her. The tears just start immediately, and he says you have to walk up and down the block with this sign for, 20 minutes or so. She goes outside and not just in front of the house, but up and down the whole block. And big, bold lettering. And of course, we rush to the window and we're watching her walk up and down the street. And so she starts walking. She had to carry the sign up where people could see it, and neighbors were starting to look out, and um, we had new neighbors across the street, and they had just moved there, weeks before, and they're like, what in the hell did we move into, and they were all looking out the window, and finally, I don't know, hadn't been very long before my mom said, I can't take watching this anymore. So she closed the curtains and we continued on with our day. Made my dad bring her in, and we never used the signs again, but it always came back to the spanking. But you would think after a few years, when we continued to do whatever we did over and over again, because we got spanked on a regular basis for all sorts of infractions, and yeah, my dad's a lawyer as well, so as well as beating us, but as well as what, So yeah, he's a lawyer, and he used to, when he couldn't figure out who did what, he would sit. There was 4 kids, and he would sit us down and tell us that he had evidence of who committed whatever, the issue was. And the big issue that I was in 2nd grade or 3rd grade that they still talk about, the bush frankly was in my way. So I needed to make more room for me to play in, and I broke a branch to, make room for me. He immediately saw the broken bush and brought us all in, wanted to know who broke the bush, and I immediately offered up my sister, who wasn't even home at the time, which everyone still talks about. She wasn't even home. She's at a party. Well, I'm like, whatever. I was 7, okay? So he goes and he gets this little twig, and he says, I found this in the guilty party's shoe. And if you confess, your punishment will be much lighter. If you don't confess, then I'm going to ground all 4 of you. Knowing that the 3 innocent people would then badger the guilty one into confessing. I never confessed, but I was thrown on the sword by the others, basically, because my sister wasn't home. My brother and sister were too old to do that, so it logically, and I think my dad even knew this too, it came down to me. So yeah, I got pushed into the sword and got grounded for that. But and then the spanking and everything. But yeah, he used to do the I have evidence of whatever, and it used to work for a while until we got a little bit older and we realized that he had no evidence whatsoever. He just would have punished the guilty person, and once that kind of came about, he never did that again. The spanking was the you know hard and fast rule at our house. And my mom was real handy with a wooden spoon too. Wow! At the dinner table. We had to be in our rooms with the door closed, studying at 7:30 for the rest of the night. So I missed a lot of shows growing up. We got to see Happy Days, but we didn't get to see Laverne and Shirley until the summer, which was good, I guess, because they were new to us. The twisted logic of a parent sometimes, I think, is we weren't allowed to watch TV after 7:30. We had to be in our room studying. But we could have the radio on. So for my sister and I's birthday, we're a day apart, a birthday, 2 years in one day. But we always got the same gifts, and we opened them on my birthday, so we were like we were twins. So one year for our birthday, we got a radio that also played the audio of TV, the local channels, which we thought, great, we could listen to the show. And I guess, I don't know, my dad heard the radio or something. He came in, he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm studying, I have the radio on. He goes, no, you're listening to TV. I said, well, yeah, but it's the radio. Give it to me. What? He says, you can't listen to TV. You're supposed to be in your room. I am in my room. You're not supposed to be listening to TV. Well, could I have the radio on? Yes. How is that different than listening to the radio than listening to television? It just is different. Give me the radio. So he took my radio that he had given me for my birthday. You don't do that to children. That's wrong. Speaking of birthdays, we'll digress. I don't know how they forgot to get my gift on my birthday. Being the middle kid, it's true, you are forgotten. Just remember that if you have more than 2 kids. They forgot to buy me a birthday present. And I remember my mom sitting there saying, okay, you need to go, talking to my dad, you need to go and pick up a birthday present for her. Okay, so he leaves, he comes back. It's in a very big box. I was very excited. And I open the package, and it's a metal detector. And immediately my mom starts yelling at my dad. How can you get a 9-year-old girl a metal detector for her birthday? And so they have this big, huge fight. Well, you shouldn't have sent me to the store. Was this the first thing you saw? No, I mean, right in front of me. So I'm like, no, it's great. Oh, love it. Love it. She's like, well, you're going to take her out there and you're going to play with her. We go out there, and the high school wasn't too far away, so we walked up to the high school thinking there would be treasure, and found, I don't know, 67 bottle caps back when can caps, back when they actually came off the can, and 26 cents. And he never went with me again. I tried to play with it, around the yard, but there's only so many treasures in your front yard. I never found any. So after my parents divorced, we never got spankings anymore. Of course, I was, 15. But, yeah, my mom lost interest. She wasn't the spanker anyway, but, yeah, I was a good kid anyway. Really, I was. Boring, in fact.